Explosion Network podcast is never late, nor are they early. They arrive precisely when they're meant to. Welcome to the Lord of the Rings Extended, a Middle-earth podcast from explosionnetwork.com. Welcome to our first discussion of the show that we started this whole podcast for. So, The Rings of Power. Amazon Prime, Prime Video, sorry, they don't like it if you call it Amazon Prime Video's brand new big budget series based on the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. And boy, is it a double header. We've got 2 episodes to talk about. They jumped out, they're like, nah, what, an hour? Nah, fuck that. We're giving you 2 episodes. Give you a bit over 2 hours, actually, because they were each like an hour 5, an hour 7 or something. Crazy times. Excited to talk about it. Join me, Ashley Holby.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here to talk about Lord of the Rings. It's been thousands of years. Yeah.
For you?
Well, it felt like the episodes were 1,000 years long.
They just jumped.
What is there has been slander about the runtime of these episodes as if it was a bad thing.
I'm not complaining.
No, it's like it's Mr. Hobley.
It just
already
felt like it was it felt like a Lord of the Rings film, like lengthwise.
Yeah, because you watched 2 episodes.
No, it's not that.
Damn.
Oh. So before we get into everyone's impressions, which everyone seems to be bursting at seems to say, just the quick credits over. There are 2 episodes. The first one was called, or the premiere was called, A Shadow of the Past. Synopsis for that one was, Galadriel is disturbed by signs of an ancient evil's return. I'm just going to half read them because it's 2. And then the second episode was Adrift, and that was Galadriel finds a new ally. The other one faces a cold reception from an old friend. Nori endeavors to help a stranger. Both directed by J.A Bayona, who most people would know for directing the second Jurassic World movie. Both episodes were written
Some would call
John
it the best of the Jurassic World movies.
So, I mean, I would call it the best. So, written by John D. Payne and Patrick McKay, both episodes, and of course based on the works and appendices by J.R.R. Tolkien. All right, Ash, let's start with you. So you're over there having some hot takes about runtimes and hinting that's a bad thing. What were your overall thoughts on both episodes as a premiere?
I thought it was fine, you know? I think for the most part I'm just very confused about where this is set, because I think we were trying to peg it down the entire time we were doing the previous films exactly when this was set, and it seems like it's set before Sauron ever rises to power. Am I correct in at least assuming that?
Well, it's the Second Age, so I think I said this last time. It's post.
See, that means absolutely nothing to me when you say
it is Second Age.
Don't you know what that's meant to be?
If you would have chilled the fuck out, I would explain to you a little bit. So
no, but then I would have got my joke in.
Oh, fucking hell! It's the Second Age, which is post Morgoth's death and pre Sauron rising to power. Like, it's kind of in this weird middle section between the 2 ages. So. Fuck you, actually.
No, because I know, it might just be me. I got it in my head. I thought it was set between Sauron being defeated and Sauron coming back. For some reason, that's what I thought it was.
Have you just not been... What? This show is called
It's
The
very
Rings
confusing.
of Power.
It's set over many millennia, and it's very
It's really not that confusing.
No, it doesn't matter. So obviously, these first couple episodes, lots of setup, lots of new characters we're getting introduced to. I just felt like it felt longer than it actually was. I sat through that first episode and oh, wow, that must have gone really long, like an hour and a half, double feature episode. Didn't cut to a second episode. It's just, the one feature length episode. It was only an hour. There's elements I'm really enjoying, all the Galadriel stuff, all the Elrond stuff. But any of the, the half foot they're not. That whole storyline's not particularly interesting to me. The weird. I mean, they're cute and adorable, but random dude falling from the sky. Okay.
Do you not know who that random fucking dude is?
No.
That's fucking
fair,
Gandalf.
No, that's an assumption. There's no.
No, that's 100%. Oh, I hate.
No, there's not 100% good.
It is.
No.
I would put money. This is a bet I'm willing to make right now.
Oh,
You really want
to bet with me right now?
That is Gandalf.
What do you want to bet? I'm betting it's not Gandalf.
$100.
There's like,
are you for real?
I'm 100. Like I am like lore. Like this is 100% serious.
There's like 6 or 7 different wizards he could potentially be if he is.
No. That is Gandalf. And if you'd like me to explain the lore behind it and why it's Gandalf,
go ahead.
Gandalf.
Or do you want to make the bet
angel.
first?
no, it's I don't care. Gandalf is a fallen angel. Like Gandalf is a demigod. Is the rumor that is where Gandalf first came from.
Rumor.
And because he's not human, he's not of Middle Earth or this world or this realm. And I guess nobody really super knows the origins of Gandalf. So, with there already being Elrond in the show, with Galadriel being in the show, kind of makes perfect sense for Gandalf to not only arrive in the show, but kind of explain why he's so fond of hobbits and his connection to hobbits so early on. Is it a weird choice? A little bit, but it's 100% Gandalf. I'm not even willing.
It makes you a little bit more interested, I guess, but it hasn't impressed me so far. And then you've got the awkward human elf relationship thing. It's fine. I mean, it's there's enough there to keep me interested to for the rest of this podcast, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it looks very pretty. But yeah, it's just kind of felt a bit dragged out these first couple episodes.
Fuck you too, Kieran. What do you think?
I was so hyped for all of this show just from a lore perspective. This is so cool. It's so fucking cool. It is all my problems with. I just think it was so interesting seeing them start in the forgotten realms of the elves and what they kind of quickly go over. They're moving across to Middle Earth and their trip to Middle Earth and seeing a little bit more about their society at the time, seeing more about Galadriel's life, because I think Galadriel is such a great character, an interesting character, but we see her at the very end of a very long life in Lord of the Rings and in The Hobbit. So to see a much younger Galadriel who is kind of still got a lot to learn and still, has this burning desire to fulfill the legacy and kind of the mission of her brother is great. I didn't know Elrond was going to be in this show, and to see young Elrond and see more of him and how his role played out. As a Ghost Rider. Yeah, as a Ghost Rider, 100%. I squealed like a little girl when Celebrimbor was introduced, because I was like, oh shit, they're actually using Celebrimbor properly so far. Awesome.
From
Shadow of
Mordor
Mordor
games. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's the original kind of inventor.
I've seen that hammer.
Yeah, and it's and the thing is, and I guess this is my major problem with The Hobbit. One of my many major problems with The Hobbit is just how small that movie feels. But this already feels like such a grand scale. This feels like such a massive addition when we're hopping all over the place. We're finding how, we're seeing how elves and humans interact. We're seeing more of the dwarves and how interesting the dwarves are. And I guess I was just so excited about seeing all the different landscapes and environments, seeing the dwarven city, seeing all the elven cities. The human villages were just kind of stock standard human villages of fantasy. And then on top of that, seeing the halflings / hobbits, obviously they don't have the name hobbits yet. Shout out to English comedian Lenny Henry, who plays kind of the wise halfling hobbit in this show. I also find it funny that Lord of the Rings continues the trend of casting incredibly tall actors to play short characters, because Lenny Henry's 6 foot. and he's playing a halfling, and they do a good job of making him look a lot smaller. I love the halflings. I maybe this is a place that's close to my heart where they are so Irish. It's great. Like they're like kind of, my opinion, like the Irish people are the closest people to hobbits in real life. They love their creature comforts. They're all about family. They're closely.
It's all
knit,
about
they're
potatoes.
Wholesome. It's all about the potatoes and the me ma. Go talk to ma's gonna kill you. Like just that kind of stuff, and just I enjoyed that. Like sure, maybe the halfling, the kind of smaller societal base intrigue and stuff between the families isn't that fun, but seeing them all come out of hiding I thought was super fun, super interesting. If it's not Gandalf, I'll be disappointed and pissed, and it might change my view a little bit on some things, but it's 99% Gandalf. The only reason I'm doubting myself now is because of you two fucks. But it just screams Gandalf to me. Yeah, I'm really loving it. I think there's so much depth to the show. Yeah, I'll give it to you. It did feel like it was a very long episode. Like even episode 1, I was like, holy fuck, this is only just ending now. But to me, that's not a bad thing. I love the scope of the show so far. Sure, I was a little, not annoyed, but a little disappointed with Galadriel's kind of involvement in episode 2. I was like, oh, this is just turning into a traditional human and elf kind of companionship story. We've already kind of got that going on over here with the other elf and human story as they're discovering goblins and discovering orcs again.
I mean, that's a romance, so
that's a romance.
I don't think
exactly.
The Galadriel
yeah,
thing
no,
is going to be a romance.
But and like even then, like the stuff with the kid finding a Morgul blade and kind of that going, even though, come on, kid, the moment your blood starts running up towards the sword, fucking drop the sword. Like, nope, the fuck out of that one.
Where'd he put the sword? That's what I know.
I think he had it wrapped up or something. I don't know. Under his jacket.
He's got his bag, and then he's got the stick.
Yeah, he could probably just fucking... you see people pull shit out of cloaks all the time in these kind of fantasy stuff. Right. But no, I'm really hyped about the show. I was saying to you two both that I was maybe a bit worried potentially yesterday before the show was released, but no, I'm in love. I'm having so much fun. Just being in this fantasy environment just made me excited and inspired me, and it's just, yeah, it's really great.
Yes, I too very much loved the 2-hour premiere. I feel like it very much feels like Middle Earth. Doesn't feel like, but it doesn't feel like someone's trying to do a copy paste of Peter Jackson. The only thing I feel like this show does that's Peter Jackson inspired and just helps give it that cinematic flair of Middle Earth that we're probably used to is the panning up the hill shots to reveal something beyond the vista, sort of like which those films do quite a lot, and they've done in this show a few times so far. So, or just the the panning shots of in a helicopter or a drone of people walking up mountains or some shit like that. So, but otherwise it feels
just
like Middle
actual
Earth,
locations.
Yeah, and they did shoot all of this on location, which
well,
most of it obviously on location, which you can tell. But yeah, I think it's a very beautiful show. I think that seeing these early days of Middle Earth and locations, some we know, some we don't know, is really super intriguing, especially coming off having just watched all of the films, of course, coming into this. It both feels like a very fresh fantasy universe while also feeling like something we know somewhat. Like, it's crazy to think how we're going to get from here to Lord of the Rings and stuff. And I definitely feel like the first episode suffers from something that I don't think you can really escape from with a property like this and like in most fancy things, which is it is just a lot of like lore and setup, and which is I don't know how you escape that in a lot of these properties. There's an element of that's just the way it's sort of the cookie crumbles to a degree. But I didn't think it was hard to understand. I must be wrong because Ash is over here dribbling shit, but I did not think it was that hard to understand at the start when they're like, hey,
no, it's just an expectations thing,
It was there was a bad guy, he came to our land, we chased the bad guy to this place called Middle Earth, and then there's this other guy called Sauron, and and then he went into hiding, but we was going to stop him before he fucked shit up, but now can't find him, and Galadriel's like, oh, he's a real dark wizard, we should stop him, and everyone else is like, she'll be right. You know, like, that's the like, that's the setup, like, in the first, like, 10 minutes of the show, like, that's the sort of the way things
I feel
go.
like people were making such a big deal about them mentioning Sauron in the trailers because it was set after Sauron was gone.
No, I think the big deal was the
impression
fact that,
I got. Yeah,
I thought the big deal was more the fact that mentioning Sauron was that this was going to be the story of Sauron and his rise to power and his rise to becoming the creature or the being that we see it in Lord of the Rings and towards the
you know what the show's going to be about. It's literally in the title. The show is called The Rings of Power.
They can be at any time. They're still there.
No, no, they're not. Majority of the rings have been defunct by the time Lord of the Rings stops.
Yes.
Starts even.
This show's arc is literally going to be, and I'm sure, there's going to be all these small stories and stuff that we introduce, but the major arc is very much like the cause and effect that makes the Rings of Power be created.
Well, I know that now.
You know that now? I don't... I'm almost disappointed. I'm not disappointed. I'm just confused.
Yeah. That's on the marketing team, So, yeah.
I don't think that is.
Definitely not on my comprehension of
I think it is. I think it's...
I'm very confused. I really like the cast. I have no problems with any of the stories so far. I quite enjoy all the little stories and everyone we've got going on. Obviously, Galadriel as the... Well, every time I say Galadriel, I'm like, it never sounds as cool as the way they say
Galadriel.
Well, you don't put too much emphasis on the first A. Yeah. You don't put too much emphasis on the first A. It's Galadriel. Instead of Galadriel. Yeah, instead of Galadriel, it's Galadriel.
I think that actress
adds multiple syllables to the name as well. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I think that actress does a really good job as playing a young version of, like, it feels capable, because of course as much people want to be like, it's not based on the P. Jackson movies, of course it's just based on the books. However, most people are going to be treating these people as younger versions of the actors who portrayed them in the Peter Jackson movies, and I definitely feel like she has a young Kate Blanchett sort of like sternness to her and everything. I like how we get to see that she's this really kick-ass warrior, like commander, leading people prior to becoming prior to even getting the ring. Like she was someone who could kick ass before even having a ring of power. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the ring made her who she was. She was already kick ass anyway. That part at the start where she runs up the fucking sword and then
I was gonna say she ran up a fucking sword.
Very
I was
Legolas-like,
like,
yeah, it's cool.
I was like, that's dope. That's way cooler.
Did you ever do that, Legolas?
I was gonna say that's way cooler than anything Legolas did in either of the trilogies.
Yeah, so that was all very cool. So I'm very enjoying it. Like, I have no problem with her. Like, if she'd floated out at sea for 2 episodes, I would have got pissed off at that point. But she's going to be on land next episode, so that's fine.
Dude, she's just like,
is she though? Just like, I'm pretty sure that's a boat.
No, I think she'll be on. She'll be on land next episode.
I think appreciated her. Sorry, I've just heard like, I'm just going to swim back. Fuck it. I'm off now.
Like she's literally out.
We saw the map. Like, they were pretty far out.
Yeah, they're really far out.
Really far. She's like, nah, I can make it. I can make it. It's fine.
I can swim that far.
Yeah. So all that's fine. I don't actually think that guy. Like, I don't mind the whole like being paired up that human, because they needed someone to. I don't think it's the fact that he's a human. It's just it could. It's just like humans. Obviously, they're gonna be living down south. They needed a character to draw her down to where the orcs are and stuff. So like, it had to be someone. And then so who else you got going on? All the stuff with Elrond, I think is really. I think that guy's been perfectly cast. I think he's super charming as Elrond.
Super
he's great.
Really great. I think my favorite, if I had to pick my favorite sort of scene and interaction and everything in both these episodes, I can't remember the character's name, but the dwarf,
King
Durin.
Durin, that's it. Sorry.
Prince Durin.
I can't. There's too many like Durin.
Oh,
Durin,
he's not
Durin,
king
Durin,
yet. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. That whole, just anything to do with like from the moment they get on that elevator through to like coming into the home and they're
even just asking to come in.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff was I think that was pretty fantastic. So
very sad. His friend.
Well, the part where he's like, "You didn't come to my marriage, you didn't come to my wedding," all this stuff. Like, it is kind of funny. Like the way he puts it into perspective, and you can tell that Elrond doesn't even think about it that way. He's like, "Oh, has it been that long?" You know, like
it's like I guess it's one of the interesting things, and I think they do it really well in this show, is kind of using the elves' perception of time, because they were like, "Yeah, this war's been done for like centuries, but you guys were still out there hunting things, so." Good on you guys for being out there for centuries, and you just for them it's very normal. But if it's like, oh, they've just been hunting Sauron for 200 years, like just out and about, and isn't a problem to them. And then when you put Elrond's life in the scale of a dwarf's life, it's like 20 years is nothing for Elrond, but for a dwarf, 20 years is a sizable chunk.
It's a lifetime.
It's a really interesting view of the perception of time between the races.
Like how he apologized and everything, and he's like, "Now I'd really like the chance to apologize to her," and then just like cuts to him entering to the house, like the hard cut to the house, and then being like, "Are you safe?" And then you gotta leave, and like that's just the whole bickering and stuff between them all.
His wife has him around his finger.
Yeah.
And then
he's staying for dinner. He is not. He's staying for dinner. He is not.
And the kids running down the stairs with the two heads on.
Yeah, stop banging my heads together. It's like. Yeah, so I think all of that was really, really good. A lot of fun.
But I love the line about this tree and like
grows in
love.
How could it not grow in a place with so much love as a place like this or whatever?
Yeah.
There's a lot of symbolism between like throughout the show about like certain things growing in places and dying in others, like the good versus evil sort of nature that Lord of the Rings is always like sort of carrying.
Well, it ends the first episode with that tree leaf, right? Yeah,
the tree leaf dying.
No, that's the second episode.
Is it?
No, it's at the end of the first after the meteorite.
Oh, sorry, it's when Gandalf's falling from the sky.
When old mate's falling from the sky.
When old mate's falling from the sky. Yeah, I'll get to him in a minute. I'm trying to think who else we got. So the other story you have with the elf, like who was like a sheriff or whatever the fuck. I guess he is like roaming around this area looking after the humans or whatever. And then obviously has this romance thing going on. I don't mind all that. I like how we get these sort of two just random like he's just a nobody in the scheme of elves. Yep. Right, he's just like a policeman. He might as well be, you know. And you can tell, like, it's always good to have like these sort of middle class nobodies in any sort of story, which he would fit for this, thrown into the mix of things. But I can't enjoy with her. So, yes,
I meant to look it up. If in Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, elves have ever been called knife ears as a derogatory term, because if not, that's taken from The Witcher.
I mean. It could be.
That town.
When the camera's panning into that very generic-looking human town, all I was thinking about is I've been to a million towns like this in The Witcher 3.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
They all look exactly like that. So very generic. I think that they're like obviously it's not that story's not as exciting so far as Galadriel or Elrond, but it's not supposed to be. But I still think I'm enjoying getting to know those characters, and that kid's kind of a shit for, and I'm like, why does his dad and her ex-partner, I guess, why the fuck did he have this blade hidden in a thing below the farmhouse there? Like, I've got some questions to what's going on there, especially when you tie it back into the throwaway line he gives her, the elf, like, gives him about, you know, these people use were like really sympathizers to what's his face, whatever his name was,
sympathizers to Morrell.
Mordor, yeah. So that's interesting if he's hiding away this blade and stuff. So I do think like there's definitely a lot of red herrings throughout these episodes of things that I'm sure will come back as we continue on through stuff. So I liked all that. And that scene where he was climbing through the ground as well with the rats running over. I was like, this shit. You better not be claustrophobic watching this, because this shit is like.
Or even intense. Just that shot of him getting like the hands coming out of behind him and pulling him backwards.
Yeah, just grabbing him backwards. Yeah. And that goblin thing looked fucked up.
Looked awesome.
Super powered.
Yeah. Hey?
The Hulk goblin at the end.
Yeah, the Hulk goblin thing at the end.
That's the Hulk. Fight. It was like way overpowered, is what I'm saying. You know, it seemed like it had super strength.
Well, it did. It was powerful. I liked it though. I thought it was kick-ass. I thought it looked good. Like I think design-wise and everything, I think it was scary and looked cool. I liked it. I like how it hard cut after she cut its head off to her slamming it down on the bench, the bar there.
Yeah.
Shout out to that dude. I can't remember the dude's name, but that's an Australian actor.
Not the goblin or the...
No, the barman dude or whatever. There's actually a few Australian actors, but
is it Boulder? It was something very fantasy that I was like, damn, it was classic fantasy.
I thought it started with a W.
And then you've got the hobbits that aren't hobbits. I would again like to shout out the scene that you mentioned just before, where you got those hunters coming over the hill or whatever, and then just the way you see them all sort of unfold and be like, coast is clear, and then have that little town pop out. I thought that was really well put together and like sort of intriguing to watch all the
I think it's you look at it as this is a very early period in the hobbit / halflings lives. Like I would almost guesstimate. I'd almost guess that maybe this group splits into like the group that becomes hobbits and then the group that becomes the river folk, and they kind of dilute themselves that way. But you kind of see them, they've got the very early stages of what we know as Hobbit society is much later down the line.
Yeah, they definitely have that thing about, the dwarves have their caves, the elves have their cities, the humans have their forests. We just keep to ourselves. Like they're very like, we're just keep to ourselves. We don't need to get involved in any of that shit. So, and then the stranger, the popping out of the sky. I thought that was the end of the first episode, but that following that meteorite, like. You get to see it's it's like a classic way to tie a bunch of characters together is you do the scene where like something's flying across the world and you get that moment where like all your main characters you're supposed to care about in this TV show in the first episode, they're like, here they are watching this one event unfold, and this event's going to affect all of them, and that's this meteorite where the blue wizard comes out.
It's Wizard Harry. Are we allowed to say that anymore?
So, not Gandalf. Although, I'm going to say right now...
not Gandalf.
I don't think that... So, I'm 100% don't think that's Gandalf. I'm saying Blue Wizard. And I'm going to say that Gandalf will come into the show, but not anytime soon.
No, it can't be the Blue Wizard.
Why not?
Blue Wizard is 2 people.
Yeah, it can be one.
Yeah.
No, it'd be fucking weird for the one without both of them because they're twins. And it's part of their identity is that they're both together.
Maybe they got separated. That's what happened.
No, you're full of shit right now. No.
You're like so certain it's Gandalf.
I'm like 100%. Like, you know what? It's great content either way, right? It is great content either way. Because either down the line I have fucking egg on my face because it's not Gandalf, it's somebody else. Or I get to be right for once and... this is, and you know what? Out of all the things I've tried to be right about this year, this is the one that matters the most to me.
I was gonna say, I can't wait to beat you in your home territory, your home court, or like home ground.
I need this to be Gandalf.
Wait until it is just some motherfucker that transforms into the first Balrog or some shit.
Yeah, that's what I thought because of all the fire and stuff.
Anyway, I'm putting this now. I don't think it's Gandalf. I think he's a bad guy. So the symbolism is you've got all the fire, cool to touch, like the ring and everything. He also then kills a bunch of fireflies.
Yeah.
Gandalf doesn't kill fireflies.
I just think it's the thing is, Gandalf likes to. Isn't it the most Gandalf
likes
thing
to
ever
kill
to
people.
kind of?
You don't say
No. Isn't it the most Gandalf thing ever to reach out your hands and have like a little bug of some kind fly onto it and like him whisper?
Yeah, and make it bigger like and keep it alive, not fucking kill it and all its family.
Send it away to get some birds. That's what usually happens.
Yeah.
Not murder them all. Yeah.
So yeah, I do think Gandalf will be in the show eventually, if it like continues over a few seasons. I can see Gandalf coming into it at some point.
I imagine Gandalf having much more boring origins. You know what I mean?
No.
He's like born, raised by a good family, picked up staff, was like, hey, I'm going to be a wizard now.
No.
I'm going to be a wizard. He just smoked some pot and then he became a wizard. That's what happened.
I think so. Quite it. Yeah, I mean, that's that's about it. All my key character points and stuff.
What is the dwarf dude's looking at the end of the episode?
Oh, that was the other thing. Yes. So what? Yeah, I don't actually have a theory for that. I don't know. What do you reckon that'd be?
So it could be either two things. It could either be they've already been given their rings, and that is the rings, or that is the stardust that the elves really fucking want from the dwarves.
That makes
and the
sense,
dwarves are like, man, it's ours. Fuck you guys. Like it's either one or the other. It's yeah.
But it can't be the ring. Like what rings?
Well, this is my biggest curiosity for
because they're going to build the forge that they make.
They're going to build the forges and everything. But the thing that I'm like the biggest curiosity is how does Sauron get involved with the forging of all the rings and get control of all the rings? Because technically, people should everybody should already know that Sauron's a bad guy. So I can't remember the lore-wise if Sauron had a different name. I think he did when he was in his elf form, is more kind of his normal form. So I am curious to see how that plays out and how that evolves with him.
The stranger is Sauron.
No. Oh, you see, I had that as my first idea and then I didn't like it. Because the Sauron's always presented as an elf.
Yeah. No, I think they there was that part in the trailer where everyone reckoned it was this blonde-haired person or whatever, and everyone was flipping their lid because they didn't like the way the actor looked or some shit. So, if that's what that turns out to be, yeah, I'm gonna say the dust thing or whatever makes sense, I guess. Like as far as elves versus dwarves go, and especially because when they're walking into the room, they're saying like, "Oh, an elf would turn up right at this time. How convenient." So it's not hey, any human would turn up at this point. It's a elf, like a. That's what they're like. It's something elves would want, not just humans or anyone else sort of thing.
Also, a lot of locations these episodes.
I like the way
the map,
because I like the map. I like the way it transitions. I also like that it doesn't feel like they're doing the Game of Thrones season 8 thing where they're just like it's been a day and they're suddenly halfway across. Like they don't need to tell you like, hey,
swimming a long time.
4 weeks later. Like, yeah, but you don't even know if all these things are happening at the same time because they could be happening like, and that's the thing. Like watching Galadriel's events, that could be happening over the period of a few days. But then the stuff with Elrond could be happening. We're watching stuff that's happening months apart. Like, there's no reason everything in the show time wise has to actually line up and make sense.
Yeah,
I think it'd be bad for them to do that though.
No, but lots of shows do it, and there's like, if you ever get the
Okay,
characters together, it's just like you balance things out. Like it's a pretty common device in a lot of shows of this scale, I would say. Like to have some timelines be out of whack compared to others. Yeah, is there anything else anyone wanted to mention for the double premiere episodes before we wrap up for this week?
Disappointed the opening credits weren't, the ones we saw posted all over the line.
I can't believe people thought that was actually going to be the opening credits. I did like the opening credits. I like the whole the sand, the rings, and the all the symbols and stuff like that. I think it works. I think it's kind of cool. Music's good. Bear McCreary, shout outs, does the music in the show.
I think Cowshaw does the
no, he doesn't do the opening. That guy does the opening, but I didn't realize until watching the opening titles that I was like, oh, Bear McCreary does the original score. But,
yeah.
Not the theme.
Yes.
Alright, cool. That'll do it for this week's episode of The Lord of the Rings Extended.